My mom tried to move my married brother into my master bedroom and told me to sleep in the guest room instead. She even showed up, measuring my house like it was already his until my stepfather exposed her in front of the whole family. I bought my house 2 years ago after working myself into the ground to save every penny. It's a modest 3-bedroom colonial in a quiet neighborhood, but it's mine. The master bedroom is my sanctuary. I've set up half of it as my home office since I work remotely as a software developer, and the NSU bathroom was a major selling point when I was house hunting. My younger brother Ryan, 24M, just got married last month to Ashley, 23F. Their good kids been together since college, and I was genuinely happy to be his best man. They've been living in a cramped studio apartment downtown while Ashley finishes her nursing degree, and their lease ends this month. 2 weeks ago, my mother, Carol, 54F, called me with what she described as wonderful news. She informed me, didn't ask informed, that Ryan and Ashley would be moving in with me temporarily while they saved for their own place. When I expressed surprise, she steamrolled right over my concerns. "I've already thought everything through," she said. "They'll take the master bedroom since married couples need their privacy and proper space. You'll move into the guest room. It's perfectly adequate for a single man. The 3rd bedroom will be their storage and future nursery when the time comes." I literally laughed thinking she was joking. She wasn't. "Nathan, this is what families do. Your brother needs help and you have the space. Don't be selfish." I tried explaining that the master bedroom wasn't just where I slept. It was also my office, my workspace, where I spend 8 to 10 hours a day. The setup I have with my dual monitors, standing desk, and equipment couldn't possibly fit in the guest room along with a bed. "You can work from the kitchen table like everyone else who works from home," she dismissed. "Ryan and Ashley need that space more than you need, and fancy office setup." The conversation deteriorated from there. I pointed out that I pay the mortgage, insurance, property taxes, everything. This wasn't about being selfish. It was about basic respect for my space and my life. Her response was to invoke my dead father. "Your father would be ashamed of how you're acting. He always put family first. When he was alive, he would never have let your brother struggle while you lived in luxury." That hit like a punch to the gut. Dad died when I was 15 and Ryan was only 9. Mom's occasionally weaponized his memory over the years, but this felt particularly cruel. Dad was the one who taught me about working hard, saving money, and taking pride in ownership. He would have understood exactly why the situation bothered me. Ryan called me that evening, and I could hear Ashley in the background. "Look, Nathan," he said, sounding uncomfortable. "I told Mom we'd be fine in the guest room. Hell, we'd be grateful for the guest room, but she's insisting it wouldn't be appropriate for a married couple." "What do you think?" I asked him directly. There was a pause. "Honestly, I think this is weird as hell." Ashley's mortified. "We were actually looking at another apartment, but Mom said we'd be stupid to pay rent when you have space. She made it sound like you'd already agreed to everything. This is where it gets more complicated." 2 years ago, my mother remarried James, 56M. He's a decent guy, owns a construction company, quiet, respectful. He's never tried to play dad or insert himself into family dynamics. When Mom was presenting this whole arrangement, he was away on a business trip to Seattle. Yesterday, Mom called to inform me that she, James, Ryan, and Ashley would be coming over this weekend to help me relocate to the guest room. Her exact words were, "James agrees this is the best solution for everyone. We'll make it as painless as possible." But here's what's interesting. About an hour after that call, I received a text from James. "Nathan, we need to talk, man to man. Something's not right here, and I'd like to understand the full situation before this weekend. Can you meet me for coffee tomorrow morning?" I agreed to meet him, but I'm not sure what to expect. James has always been cordial, but distant, which I appreciated. I didn't need or want a replacement father, but this text suggests he might be seeing things differently than my mother presented them. The frustration goes deeper than just the bedroom issue. It's about a pattern I'm only now fully recognizing. When Ryan graduated high school, Mom threw him a huge party. When I graduated college first in our family, she forgot to come because Ryan had a baseball game. When I got promoted to senior developer, her response was to ask if my company was hiring because Ryan needed a better job. When I bought this house, her first comment was about how Ryan would love a place like this someday. I don't resent my brother. None of this is his fault. If anything, I think Mom's constant protection has held him back. He's capable and smart, but she's always swooping in to solve his problems before he can figure them out himself. The bedroom thing feels like the ultimate expression of this dynamic. Even in my own house, my accomplishment, my space, Ryan's needs automatically supersede mine. Being married apparently makes him more deserving of comfort than me being the actual homeowner. My friends think I'm being a doormat for even considering letting them move in at all. My cousin Mom's niece says I'm being dramatic and that it's just a room, and I should stop being so materialistic. My grandmother, Dad's mom, called me yesterday after Mom told her about the situation, and her take was different. Your mother's heart is in the right place, but she's wrong. Stand your ground, Nathan. Your dad would part of me wonders if I should just give in to keep the peace. It would probably only be for a few months. And is my pride really worth causing a family rift? But another part of me, the part that sounds like my father's voice, says that this is about more than a bedroom. It's about establishing whether I'm an equal adult in this family or forever the older brother who's expected to sacrifice for the golden child. James and I are meeting tomorrow morning. I'm not sure what he wants to talk about, but I'm hoping maybe he can help mediate this situation. Or maybe he's going to try to strong-arm me into compliance. I honestly don't know him well enough to predict which way this will go. Am I wrong for not wanting to give up my master bedroom in my own house? Should family obligation override personal boundaries? And what do I do if James sides with my mother? Update 1. Meeting with James next day. I met James at a small cafe downtown at 8 a.m. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with 2 coffees ordered. He stood when he saw me, something my dad used to do, a gesture of respect, and shook my hand firmly. Nathan, thanks for meeting me, he started. Before we discuss anything else, I need you to know that I had no idea about any of this until yesterday afternoon when I got back from Seattle. Your mother told me we were helping you move some furniture this weekend, but when I asked for details, the story didn't add up. He pulled out his phone and showed me texts from my mother. They painted a completely different picture that I had offered to help Ryan and Ashley, that I felt guilty about having a big house while they struggled, that I had volunteered the master bedroom because I wanted to do right by family. Now, James said, leaning back, I've only known you for 2 years, but you've never struck me as the martyring type. You're generous, yes, but not foolish. So I'm asking you directly. What actually happened? I told him everything. The surprise phone call, the demands, the guilt tripping about my father. James listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or frowning. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Your mother means well, he finally said. But she has a blind spot when it comes to Ryan. I noticed it during our first year of marriage, but didn't feel it was my place to intervene. Now I realized staying silent was a mistake. He told me about observations he'd made, how Mom would interrupt my achievements to talk about Ryan's potential, how she'd make excuses for Ryan's mistakes while holding me to impossible standards, how she'd always frame things as me, having advantages that Ryan didn't, despite the fact that I'm only 5 years older. When she told me about this bedroom situation, James continued, she made it sound like it was all arranged, everyone was happy. But last night, I talked to Ryan separately. Kid's embarrassed as hell. He never asked for the master bedroom, doesn't want it, and feels like your mother is treating him like a child. This surprised me. Ryan told you that, more or less, he said, and I quote James, I'm 24 years old, married, and have a job. I don't need my mom fighting battles. I didn't ask her to fight. Ashley apparently wanted to get a different apartment specifically to avoid the situation, but your mother guilt-tripped them about wasting money. James ordered us breakfast, then continued, Nathan, I'm going to tell you something. I grew up with 3 brothers. My stepfather treated his biological sons like princes while I was lucky to get hand-me-downs. I swore if I ever became a step-parent, I'd never let that dynamic happen. Equal treatment, equal respect. I appreciate that, but let me finish, he said firmly but kindly. I've failed in that promise. By staying silent while your mother favors Ryan, I've been complicit. That stops now. Your father isn't here to stand up for you, and while I'd never try to replace him, someone needs to have your back. Consider me that someone. He laid out a plan. We would go to my house together. He'd already asked Mom, Ryan, and Ashley to meet us there. He would support me in whatever boundaries I wanted to set, but he recommended being firm but generous. They could stay, but in the guest room, paying a fair share of utilities with a clear timeline. Your mother will push back, he warned. She'll cry, she'll guilt trip, she'll invoke your father again. Don't engage with the emotional manipulation. State your boundaries and hold them. I'll handle Carol if needed. We drove to my house separately. When we arrived, Mom was already there with Ryan and Ashley. She'd let herself in with her key and was literally measuring the guest room with a tape measure. Oh, good. You're here, she said brightly. Nathan, I think your desk can fit in here if we angle it. Carol James interrupted. We need to have a family discussion. Living room. Everyone. Once we were all seated, James took charge. There's been a misunderstanding about the living arrangements. Nathan, would you please clarify what you're willing to offer? I took a deep breath. Ryan and Ashley, you're welcome to stay here for up to 3 months while you save for a house. You can have the guest room share the main bathroom and use the kitchen and common areas. I'll need $400 a month to cover the increase in utilities and incidentals. The master bedroom and my office setup stay as they are. Mom immediately started to protest. That's ridiculous. You're going to charge your brother rent and stuff them in that tiny room. It's not rent, Mom. It's utilities, and the guest room is larger than their current apartment, but married couples need. Carol James interrupted firmly. Nathan owns this house. He pays the mortgage. He's offering to help, and his terms are more than fair. This discussion is over. Mom turned to him in shock. You're taking his side. I'm taking the side of what's right, James replied calmly. Nathan isn't obligated to house anyone. The fact that he's willing to help at all should be appreciated, not criticized. Ryan finally spoke up. Mom, stop, please. Nathan's offer is generous and we're grateful. The guest room is fine, more than fine, Ashley added. Mrs. Carroll, we appreciate you looking out for us, but this is between Nathan and us. We're adults, and we can handle our own arrangements. Mom's face went through several emotions. Shock, hurt, anger, then something like embarrassment. I'm just trying to help, she said quietly. Your help isn't helpful when it comes at Nathan's expense, James said gently but firmly. You've been doing this for years, Carol. It needs to stop. There was an uncomfortable silence. Then Mom grabbed her purse and left without another word. Ryan and Ashley apologized profusely, assured me they were happy with the guest room, and promised to be ideal house guests. They left shortly after to start packing. James stayed behind. You did good, he said. That was harder than it needed to be, because it should have been addressed years ago, but you handled it well. Thanks for backing me up, I said. I didn't expect that. Nathan, can I share something? He sat down on my couch. Your mother talks about your father a lot. From what I've gathered, he was a good man who worked hard and loved his family, but she's created this mythology around him that she uses to justify her behavior. The man she describes who would want you to sacrifice everything for Ryan doesn't match the father who taught you to work hard and earn your own way. He was right, and hearing someone else say it was validating. I'm not trying to be your father, James continued, but I am your stepfather, and that means something to me. It means having your back when you need it. Your mother will come around, but it might take time. Don't cave in the meantime. Update 2. 2 weeks later, Ryan and Ashley moved in last weekend. True to their word, they've been excellent house guests. They buy groceries, clean up after themselves, and are quiet and respectful. Ashley even reorganized my disaster of a pantry as a thank you gesture. The $400 for utilities was paid up front without my having to ask. Mom didn't help them move and has been giving me the cold shoulder since the confrontation. She's not actively hostile, just absent. She didn't call for our usual Sunday check-in. She didn't text me the recipe I asked for. It hurts, but I'm holding firm. James, on the other hand, has been increasingly present. He invited me to lunch twice this week, just the two of us. The first time we talked about work and sports, carefully avoiding the elephant in the room. The second time, he brought it up himself. Your mother is struggling, he said simply. She's realizing that her way of showing love to Ryan has actually been harmful to both of you. To him, because it stunted his independence, and to you, because it made you feel less valued. Has she said that? Not in so many words. But she's been reading articles about favoritism in families. I saw her browser history. She's not subtle. She's also been looking at photo albums from when you boys were young. I think she's seeing patterns she didn't want to see before. He then told me something that explained a lot. Did you know that after your father died, your mother went to therapy for about 6 months? The therapist told her that Ryan might struggle more with the loss because he was so young, and that she should pay special attention to his emotional needs. I think she took that advice and ran too far with it, turning pay attention into prioritize above everything else. This was news to me. Mom had never mentioned therapy. She also told me James continued that you stepped up so much after your father died, took on responsibilities, helped with Ryan, never complained. She said she leaned on you heavily, maybe too heavily for a 15-year-old. I think part of her favoritism toward Ryan stems from guilt about parentifying you. That hit unexpectedly hard. I remembered those years making Ryan's school lunches, helping with homework, attending his little league games when Mom had to work late. I thought I was being a good brother. I never realized Mom might have seen it as a burden I shouldn't have carried. That doesn't excuse her behavior, James added quickly. But it might help you understand it. Yesterday, something interesting happened. Ryan asked if we could talk privately. We sat on my back deck with beers, and he was uncharacteristically serious. Nathan, I owe you an apology, he started. Not just for this situation, but for everything. 4 years of everything. I tried to wave it off, but he persisted. No, listen, I've been thinking a lot since this whole bedroom thing happened. Mom's always fought my battles, made excuses for me, cleared the path ahead of me, and I let her because it was easy, but it wasn't fair to you. He told me about instances I'd forgotten or maybe blocked out, times when mom had taken money from my college fund to pay for his car repairs, times when family celebrations for my achievements were overshadowed by minor accomplishments of his, times when he knew mom was being unfair but said nothing because he benefited. "I'm not a kid anymore," he said. "I'm married. I have a job. I'm about to buy a house. It's time I stood on my own feet and stopped letting mom treat me like a baby. And you? I don't know, the help? You're not responsible for how mom acts." I told him no, but I'm responsible for how I respond to it, and I've responded by taking advantage even if I didn't mean to. That stops now. He then told me something that surprised me. "James has been talking to me too about being a man, about independence, about fair family dynamics." He said something that stuck. "Your brother's success doesn't diminish yours, and your needs don't matter more than his." He's right. We're not in competition, and mom needs to stop acting like we are. Update 3. 1 month later, the transformation has been remarkable. Mom finally broke her silence last week, calling to ask if we could have dinner, all 5 of us. James later told me she'd been working with a therapist again, specifically addressing her parenting patterns and grief processing. The dinner was at my house. Mom brought dessert, my favorite, not Ryan's, which might seem small but felt significant. After we ate, she asked if we could talk. "I owe you both an apology," she started, looking between Ryan and me. "But especially you, Nathan. I've been unfair to you for years, and I disguised it as love for your brother." She talked about Dad's death, about her fears that Ryan would grow up damaged without a father, about how I seemed so strong and capable that she forgot I was grieving too. "You became my partner in raising Ryan," she said to me, tears in her eyes. "That wasn't fair. You were a child who lost his father, not a replacement parent. And then I spent years compensating Ryan for a loss that you experienced too, as if your pain mattered less because you were older." Ryan spoke up. "Mom, you need to stop protecting me. It's actually made my life harder. I never learned to solve my own problems because you always jumped in. Nathan had to figure everything out himself. And look where he is. Successful, independent, a homeowner. I'm just now learning skills he mastered years ago because he had to." Mom nodded, wiping her eyes. "The bedroom thing. God, I'm mortified, demanding you give up your room in your own house. What was I thinking?" "You were thinking what you've always thought," I said gently. "That Ryan's needs come first. It's been the pattern so long you didn't even question it." James added, "Carol, you're a wonderful mother who loves her sons. But love isn't just about giving one everything while expecting the other to sacrifice. It's about respecting both sons as individuals with equal value." Mom turned to me. "Can you forgive me? Not just for the bedroom incident, but for all of it." "I'm working on it," I said honestly. "It helps that you see it now." "But Mom, this can't just be words. Things need to actually change." She agreed and has been true to her word. She now asks before visiting. Rather than using her key, she celebrates my achievements without immediately pivoting to Ryan. She stopped comparing us or suggesting I should do more for him. Update 4. 2 months later, Ryan and Ashley found their house. They close in 3 weeks and will move out by the end of the month. It's a cute starter home about 15 minutes from me. Mom offered to help them decorate, and this is huge, she offered the same to me for my place, acknowledging that I've been living with bachelor decor for too long. The bigger development has been with James. We've developed a genuine relationship over these past 2 months. We go to baseball games together. He's teaching me woodworking in his garage workshop, and we have honest conversations about life, work, and family. Last week, while working on a bookshelf project, he said something profound. "You know, Nathan, I think I understand your father better now, even though I never met him. I see him in how you work, methodical, careful, taking pride in doing things right. I see him in how you treat people with respect, but expecting the same in return. Your mother's kept him alive through stories, but you've kept him alive through actions. I miss him." I admitted, surprising myself with a vulnerability. "Of course you do. You always will. But Nathan, I want you to know I'm not trying to replace him. I'm just trying to be another person in your corner. Everyone deserves someone in their corner." He then shared his own story about losing his father young and how his stepfather treated him as less than his biological sons. I promised myself I'd never perpetuate that cycle. Biology doesn't determine worth. You and Ryan are both my stepsons, and I'm proud of both of you. The real test came last weekend. My cousin got engaged, and the family gathered to celebrate. In the past, Mom would have dominated the conversation with Ryan's accomplishments while barely mentioning me. This time was different. When my aunt asked what was new with the boys, Mom shared equally. Ryan's upcoming house closing and my recent promotion to team lead. When my grandmother complimented my house, Mom didn't immediately mention how Ryan's would be nicer. When my uncle made a joke about me being the responsible one, Mom didn't laugh along. She said both her sons were responsible in different ways. Small changes, but meaningful ones. Final update. 3 months later. Ryan and Ashley moved out 2 weeks ago. Their housewarming party was last night, and it was beautiful. Not because of the house itself, but because of what it represented. Ryan pulled me aside during the party. "Nathan, I need to thank you. Not just for letting us stay with you, but for standing up to Mom. It forced all of us to grow up, me included. I'm 24, married, buying a house, and until recently, Mom was still treating me like a kid who needed protection. Your boundaries freed me too." Mom overheard and joined us. "He's right. I was holding both of you back in different ways. Ryan, by overprotecting him, and you, by undervaluing you. I'm grateful you forced the conversation, even though it was painful." The party was the first family gathering where I felt like an equal member, rather than the responsible older brother expected to sacrifice and stay quiet. Mom introduced me to her friends with pride, talking about my career and my house without immediately shifting to Ryan. She even pulled out her phone to show pictures of the home office setup she'd once called unnecessary. But the most meaningful moment came from James. Toward the end of the evening, he pulled me aside. "Nathan, I've been thinking about something," he started. "Father's Day is coming up. I know it's probably a hard day for you. Has been since you were 15. I'm not your father, and I'd never pretend to be, but I was wondering if maybe we could do something together that day. Not as father and son, but as family men who respect each other and have each other's backs." I agreed, and we made plans to go fishing, something Dad used to do with me. "Your father raised a good man," James said, clasping my shoulder. "I see it every day. The way you handled this whole situation with strength, but also with grace, that's character that came from him, but also from you. You took his lessons and made them your own. My house is peaceful again. My office is set up exactly how I need it. The guest room is back to being a guest room. But more than the physical space, I've reclaimed my position in the family, not as the perpetual giver or the responsible one who needs nothing, but as an equal deserving of respect and consideration." Mom still has her moments of slipping into old patterns, but she catches herself. Last week, she started to tell me I should help Ryan with his mortgage paperwork, then stopped mid-sentence. "No, that's not my place. If Ryan needs help, he can ask you himself. And you can say no if you're busy." Ryan did ask, actually, and I helped, not because Mom told me to or because I was obligated, but because he's my brother and he asked respectfully. That's the difference. The help flows from choice, not from expectation or guilt. James has become an unexpected blessing in my life. Not a father, but something else valuable. A mentor, a friend, an advocate. He's shown me that family can expand and evolve, that step relationships don't have to be awkward or distant. He chose to stand up for me when he could have stayed neutral, and that choice made all the difference. Last night after the party, I was cleaning up my kitchen when I found a note James had left on my counter. "Nathan, your dad would be proud of the man you've become. I know I am. Jay." I kept that note. It sits in my office now next to a photo of Dad and me from when I was 14, just a year before he died. 2 different men, 2 different relationships, but both part of my story. The master bedroom crisis, as dramatic as it seemed at the time, was actually a gift. It forced our family to confront years of unhealthy dynamics. It revealed that Mom's grief had morphed into favoritism, that Ryan was ready to be independent, but hadn't been allowed to be, and that I deserved equal consideration in my own family. Most importantly, it showed me that standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. That boundaries aren't walls, but guidelines for healthy relationships. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your family is refuse to enable dysfunctional patterns. My house is mine, my space is respected, my achievements are celebrated, my needs matter. These shouldn't be revolutionary concepts, but for me they were. And it took a stepfather's courage to help me see that I deserved nothing less. Family helps family. Mom was right about that. But real help doesn't mean one person always sacrificing for another. It means mutual respect, appreciation, and support that flows in all directions. That's the family we're building now. And despite the rocky path to get here, I'm grateful for where we've ended up. The master bedroom remains mine. But I gained something much more valuable. A family that sees me, respects me, and values me as an equal. And a stepfather who, when it mattered most, stood up and said, "This is wrong, and I won't let it continue." Sometimes the best families are the ones that grow through conflict, learn from mistakes, and choose to do better. We're not perfect, but we're trying, and that's enough.